actually a social scientist, so I don't think I have any number for a change. But in any case, I would like to introduce you to what are system dynamics and especially agent-based models and notions of complex adaptive systems. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but sometimes it's worth just to recall them, especially for the social science part of this course. Now, so we talk first about systems, system dynamics, CAS, and how we can analyze them. And also, in the end, we talk about agent-based models. Are a lot of you familiar with agent-based models? Just so, could you tell me, how would you define a system? Somebody would like to ask you, how would you define a system? Anybody would like to? Anybody would like to? Yes? How would you define a system?
Maybe a collection of things with some distinct character that are interactive.
Yeah. How would you define a system?
It's something with multiple components which interact with each other, but there's also something which flows across components.
Okay. So they interact. Do they have a purpose? Do you think systems should have a purpose?
That's where the flowing across comes in.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree. And actually, it's according to matters, it's an interconnected set of elements that is coherently organized. And sometimes can be greater than some of it, probably of its own of the parts that compose it. Sometimes it's the same, depending if you're talking about simple systems, complicated, or complex systems. Now, one way to analyze these systems, especially in social sciences, is the use of system dynamics. And also in ecology is widely used. Now, system dynamics was first introduced in the 50s to help managers in the industries, and then has been applied in ecology and in social science with success, quite a few success stories. And it's based on stocks, flows, and what is important is that it has a time component, so it's dynamic, and also it's based upon feedbacks, and those are very important in shaping systems such as the one we are analyzing. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how system dynamics is used in natural resource governance. This example is actually not marine, it's based on forestry, and it's on these websites. It's a C4 participatory modeling project. It's quite a big project, quite a few institutions and a few key people. Now, the basics is very simple. You know, you have stocks, represent populations, then you have converters that represent the birth and mortality rates, you have time, and you have flows that goes into the population, into the stocks, and out the stocks. And what you find is quite a neat relationships over time of population growth in this case. If you have questions, by the way, so feel free to interrupt me at any time. Now, the problem is that obviously this one is just a small part of a much larger effort. Because if we try to combine, we try to couple ecological and social systems, we should actually not keep them separated, but we should really try to integrate them. So every feedback has to be done together. We can't say to the physicist, okay, do me this model, and then I do some management decision and we look at the feedbacks on it. Because sometimes it's not going to work. It's called multidisciplinary approach, and I don't think it's a systemic approach. And for example, in these papers, they look at this Marinaro modeling exercise. So there were severe tensions, obviously, between conservation and development, as I think a lot of you that work with protected areas, or if you work with marine protected areas even, you might be familiar with. So fishermen have different interest groups, and they might have different interest in conservations. So local government is actually willing here to declare the district as a conservation district, but it shows also interest in oil plantations because it actually can boost economic development. So where do we draw a line? And what are the effects of oil plantation or potential effects of oil plantations, for example? Now these simulations is done using a software called Stella, as in the system dynamic software, or is a software that's used to model that. And the Marinaro district is actually right there. Where is it?
The top right.
Yeah, top right. Yeah, top left. at the border with Malaysia. In the examining scenario, they assume they're going to clear some forest. It's like you can assume if you're a marine biologist, they're going to fish a certain amount of fishes. And however, you can also create employment if you produce, you start oil plantations. And actually, there's a huge amount of forest in Vietnam that are devoted now to oil plantations and Southeast Asia in general. And the aim of this paper is to simulate the landscape dynamics to check what effects might be. And what happens is that first of all, you need to conceptualize what are the landscape changes, what might change. So you look at primary forest, you log, you have concessions from plantations, then you have secondary forest that might be degraded by mining and agriculture. So you have lots of feedbacks and lots of things going on. However, it's very important to keep the humans in it, because humans are the ones that actually influence agriculture, influence the logging, influence the mining, and influence the overall social ecological system. They might be the main driver actually of these systems, much more than any other. But that's obviously my point of view because I'm a social scientist, so I need to keep the humans at the center of my talk. And these are possible scenarios that have been created and where the model runs on. And we have scenarios with no logging permitted, a scenario with clearing permit given, but no oil plantations. And then we have also different scenarios with assuming it's high or low employment. Because obviously these clearings create jobs, oil plantations create jobs, create income. So in theory, it should be a poverty alleviation technique. In practice, we are not so sure. Results are not so clear about it. Some people say yes, they alleviate poverty. Some other studies say that actually they help out people that already had endowments. Endowments are like they already had forces. So if you already have, and you already can purchase or you can access financial markets, then you're better off. But if you can't in the beginning, you will not be better off. Actually, you might be worse off. Because the products that you were used to and the ability to go into the forest and to come back and to get the resources, you might not be allowed to do that anymore. Now also, we have scenarios in having different employments. And let's see. Yeah. So we have no population, and then we have clearing with plantation development. And plantation development assuming low employment and high employment. And here we have a population increase. Now obviously increasing population due to migration has huge effects on the whole area. It might create other feedbacks that needs to be taken into account when modeling these natural systems. So all these is actually to say that these type of models can be very useful for managers that want to check under which conditions and what kind of scenarios might develop if we take the human components into account. We need to put the human components into these systems because actually we are already there. And it's very easy to say, okay, this area now is completely protected, you can't access it. But who's going to tell them to those people? So who's going to tell them that they can't fish anymore, they can't use the forest anymore when their livelihoods depends on it? So we have to find a balance between conservation or between trying to balance conservation and development. Now, the problem of this type of approach, I do believe that the system dynamics approach, like as shown, has some limitations. I don't know, could you tell me what kind of limitations you think this approach might have? Or what's wrong with it? If there is something wrong. Or it's a great approach, we should use that.
Sounds a bit more obvious.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
I guess it doesn't capture the natural variability system.
Sorry, that might be my mistake. I centered it upon humans because what I want to give the message is that humans are very important. We need to combine the two things, but it can simulate natural processes very well. So because it's all based on feedbacks and stocks and flows, and that's basically what population dynamics. I'm not sure about nutrient cycles because it's not my field, to be honest. Yeah.
We don't have the effect of planetary illness in the economy.
So you're saying it's basically deterministic? No.
What?
Is it? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You don't have the planetary illness in the effect on the economy.
Well, the converters actually have numbers, and those are the parameters that are mortality rates, birth rates. These are parameters. So in theory, you should have them. The problem is that it assumes homogeneous mixing. That's the main problem from my perspective. Like, we humans are not all equal. No? We behave differently. And according to the feedbacks we receive, we respond differently to these feedbacks. So I think this is one of the major habits of these type of approach. And then it aggregates agents and landscapes. So you see trees and you see a stock of trees. You see fishes and you see a school of fishes. You don't really distinguish between individual behaviors. So I'm not sure if it's appropriate for certain species, might be more appropriate for others not. So it's always system dependent, no? Depending on the system and the boundaries you have, you might have an appropriate activity to analyze. Yes?
Does the model also simulate politics?
Not yet, not this one. It can, but it's always at an aggregate level. So it assumes that one community will all behave the same, and the other community will behave the same.
But even if that's true, it depends on at times the community will, on
Exactly.
political leadership, on the political state. So you need to, if you want to simulate humans, you need to have politics.
Yes.
Or otherwise.
Yes, no, I do agree. That's why I think it has strong limitations. And that's why, it's not adaptive. It doesn't allow for adaptive behavior. And that's very important, especially nowadays when we all talk about adaptive management, co-management, and these kind of, and the literature on it is growing quite fast, especially in a branch called resilience, and the social-ecological system. And then it might be very complicated, but it doesn't allow representation of complex systems. I'm not sure about that. I'm actually asking a question. And what we are actually dealing with is with a system that is quantitatively different than its individual components. So we might need other tools to analyze, as you were saying, the politics and all the nuances involved when we introduce humans into natural resources or into the environment in order to really analyze a couple of social ecological systems, and not a social system and an ecological system. As I said before, we are dealing with complex systems. Now we can have simple systems, complicated, and complex. I guess you all know the difference between these three, correct? Yes? No? Okay. So, simple system is a linear system. That's okay. The difference between complicated and complex can be tricky at times. I think this example is perfect. Like a Boeing 747 is a complicated system, but it's decomposable. Now, if you know exactly how all the parts interact, you reproduce the system. You know exactly how the whole will behave. While a flock of birds, no, you really can't. No? Is there any questions? Is it clear? Yes? No? Okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes?
There's no director, no single bird, and so on. Is this established, or is this a guess, or is it?
Most people that I know that look at birds, they say that they actually really they don't have one bird that takes them and say, oh, okay, birds, let's go there. And everybody goes there. It's just, something happens and they all fly towards.
Swarm.
Yeah, exactly. It's a swarm effect. It's actually based on three variables that I don't remember exactly the names, but it's like alignment and how close or far away from each other they fly. And they just mysteriously, well, not mysteriously, but
So, the latest paper, I don't know if you want to get off on this topic, but they have almost a 360 vision, and they put GPS and monitor that one bird moves a few seconds before the other. When you look at it, it looks like nobody is leading. Every moment there's something.
but it's always the same bird.
No.
So they don't have a single director. It's like that's why you can't really see. Then, and obviously, complex adaptive system has a specific set of property defined by Levine and also very neatly explained by Waldrop in a nice book called Complexity. And obviously, they're characterized by non-determinisms. It's basically impossible to determine precisely the behavior